She is one of the rare ones, so effortlessly herself, and the world loved her for it. She's a special kind of a woman. She's the one with the ability to be that rock, that foundation. She is Rinki Roy, founder chairperson, Bimal Roy Memorial and Film Society, is a published author and biographer of Bimal Roy. Rinki is the eldest daughter of renowned film director Bimal Roy ji. Her son, Aditya Bhattacharya, is a film director. She has two daughters, and Rinki Roy is a freelancer journalist, with her many articles published in the Economic Times and the Indian Express. Hello and welcome to Rashi Foundation. Rinki ji, आपका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है हमारे शो पर.
Delighted to talk about anything under the sun, especially about my father. So we can start without delay.
Rinki ji, please tell us about the real Rinki Roy, the person Rinki Roy, and the life she has lived as a mother, as a daughter.
That I don't live a double life. I am what I am. I'm a mother, daughter, grandmother, writer, whatever you call it. So, I'm what I am, I have never been anything else. So there's not much to talk about me. People have to discover what I am. No, I had a lovely, lovely childhood. Thanks to my parents and my family. We could choose what we wanted to do, study. I have no regrets about being the daughter of my parents and being who I am. So that's it.
That's so sweet the way you're speaking. I think that's wonderful, Rinki ji. Rinki ji, let's have some valuable inputs as a freelancer journalist way back in 1964. You as a writer.
24 years old in 64, I have to pay a tribute to some of the most eminent editors of Times of India, very well-known playwright and writer, Dr. Dharbir Bharti, Kamleshwarji, all very well-known people, and Mohan Rakesh. In fact, they put me into this position, and I began by writing for all. Actually, I used to write in English, and they would be so enthusiastic and so I would say very encouraging. They would translate it in Hindi. And I wrote for years like this for Dharmiyuk. And I have to say my first writings were protest writings. And they have remained protest writings all my life, I had to protest about the way my husband's film, Tisri Kasam, was made in an absolutely godforsaken place. He was the director of a film which had Raj Kapoor and Wahida ji, and I, as his wife, had to put up with 40 men, electricians and all. So everybody was excited about the film. So, and Dharmbir Bharti and everybody used to come to home to meet me. So I was full of, anger and full of, complaints. So when I said, why don't you write, Rinki? I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, please go ahead and be free, completely free. And that's how I began my, I would say, quite a successful freelancing or features writing, chapter in my life. And I continued for many years. I must have written for all the newspapers in India, some abroad, and I'm very happy. I wish I'd kept some of my writings, which I have not. They were pre-internet days, pre-mobile days, so I don't have too many copies, but they will be somewhere around. I'm floating somewhere.
I'm sure they are all around the internet now. So, coming to films, Rinki ji, your valuable experience in the art department, costume, and wardrobe verticals. I think you've worked in many films, looking after the wardrobes also. So,
not many films. I did the wardrobe for only Bashu's films, for Avishkar, Griha Pravesh, that's it. And not for any other outside, because they were shot in my house. I had to convert my home into a studio because Bashu didn't have money to shoot in the studio. So overnight he told me, and it was a rather a difficult time because my children were going to school, but I could not say no. And it's a lovely film. Avishkar is one of the most beautifully shot and a very, very respected and liked film. So I did the costume for Sharmila. In fact, she wore my saris, and my home became her home. So Ghar Amar Mansika, that was our home where the film was shot. So this is how I was given the credit of a costume designer and a set designer.
When you speak and you tell us, and while you're sharing all this with us, I think I totally believe that you've lived a very, very, vast life as a writer, working in the film direction. This is wonderful.
Rashi, I believe strongly in sharing stories. As a grandmother, especially today, I have 9 grandchildren. So I have to go back to stories, and I'm always ready to tell you stories. So you can ask me for any more stories.
What is the difference between working, like, you've started and you've associated with the film industry long back, since your father has been the director, one of the renowned directors of India. So what I want to know, what is the difference you feel today and what it was yesterday? Was it easier yesterday, or is it more easy now? What is the difference you feel when you observe things?
I am not in a position to say that because I was in a very niche position. I was not working in the film industry. I was working only along with my husband, helping him, supporting him, making those films. And as for my father, there was no question of us helping. He had a huge body of supporters. He had the most eminent technicians. So there I did not play any role in that, except to maybe visit his sets, watch him shoot. That's it. Yes, I did something for my father, which is not mentioned, but I'm very happy to say that the entire soundtrack of Bird soundtrack in Sujata was recorded by me in our house where we lived in Bengal, and my father has used that soundtrack. He taught me how to record sound on a huge big EMI recorder. I was just a young girl, school girl, but I can say proudly that that is what I had recorded, and he's used the sound beautifully in Sujata. It's one of my, I think, everyone's favorite film. Sujata remains, I think, everybody's top favorite. Not though because I mean so much, because Sujata has so much to teach you. It's about inclusiveness. It's about welcoming people into your lives. Not thinking of chut chat, achut, kya hai. And the way the bonding of the father and daughter is just simply beautiful. It really was exactly what my relationship with my father was. What understated understanding. You don't find that kind of relationship in today's world. I would say that's a loss. I would say that's a loss. It's a big human loss. And he was not even her biological father, but the way they each cared for each other, it's just amazing. It's so inspiring. And I think people should go back to this film, which brings me to the question of why father's film should be shown again and again. I meet people who love his films, particularly people slightly older than my generation and my generation also. They keep on saying, where can we see his films? I don't think they're on Netflix or maybe on YouTube, but that's not the place to see a Bimal Roy film. You must watch a Bimal Roy film on the big screen. They were not meant for television, they were made for the big screen. So the full impact, the social impact of his films, which are so enormous and timeless, I would say, should be made actually on the cinema screen.
Rinki ji, this is wonderful what you just shared. And so, what is the idea of women?
Rashi, may I just intervene? I think I'd love to do a master class on my father to talk about him. He died, too young, and there is so much untold about him. I'd really like to, maybe someday somebody will open up and say, yes, come and talk to us about your father and his work ethics, which is fantastic.
Your beautiful initiative to pay tribute to the legendary film director, producer Bimal Roy ji, your late father. What is your vision and mission behind it? Why did you start this memorial?
And this was in 1997, as early as that. So, I thought it was high time that we honored people who have been left behind, who've been forgotten. So the first person we honored was my father's closest friend from the same village. Bimal Roy Memorial actually started with a thought that there were many people waiting to be discovered and honored, who were senior, particularly technicians, film technicians, who were behind the scenes, not stars, playback artists, composers, and I would say mainly technicians. So with that feeling, we started. The first honor we gave was to Dilip Gupta, the magnificent cameraman of Madhumati, who got the Filmfare Award, of course. He had learned photography in Hollywood under Walt Disney, and such a simple man, such an adorable, affectionate man. And he never craved for honors or things like that. They were, my father and he were bum chumps from the same village. And he had tears in his eyes, when I said, I'm giving you the first award from the Bimal Roy Memorial. It was a magnificent moment, and I will never, never forget that. I'm so happy I did that, I'm so happy I could do that. I also honored a very, very senior photojournalist called Kumtakar, who was the photojournalist for Screen magazine, Screen paper, who would go into any star's home, take photographs, and they would come out, but there was no byline given to him. He had a fantastic collection of portraits, and he was in a very bad shape, both financially and almost on his deathbed. Fantastic photographs shot by him. So I'm very proud of the kind of work. Also, I honored a makeup man who had not received any award in his life. I mean, he was a legend himself. I knew him, and he was an absolutely adorable man, full of affection. So I said, these people should be honored. And there are no one Falke award se kya hota hai? Ek Falke award se kya hota hai? You tell me how many. My father has not received any Padma award. My father has not received any government awards, except what he's got for his films. Like Madhumati got a silver medal for President Silver Medal. Iconic filmmaker who inspired Satyajit Ray, Ritvik Ghatak, till Ashutosh Gowarikar, everybody. He's not been given any, by the government of India. Never mind, that's fine. He receives honor, he's loved. Bimal Roy Memorial actually started with a thought that there were many people waiting to be discovered and honored, who were senior, particularly technicians, film technicians, who were behind the scenes, not stars, playback artists, composers, and I would say mainly technicians. This year we honored Kalyanji Bhai. He was so happy. The composer Kalyanji Anandji is such a lovely man. I was so happy to have honored him. And he's at that age, when all this don't matter, but that it is coming from Bimal Roy Memorial meant to him something. He said, I always wanted to work with Dada.
So this is more about, I think, the artists and the painters also who are giving a tribute to Bimal Roy ji. So what is your special message for all the artists and the painters who have been badly hit during the COVID?
Sadly, younger people may not have known my father's work as closely as we do. But, my father's works have lived through the songs of his films. Every day you hear songs of my father's films somewhere or the other. There are popular programs like Suhana Safar by Anu Kapoor should come back. They should reach home. I would say my father is like a home. My father is like a banyan tree. They should come under there and sit for 2 minutes and take away what is left for us, the legacy. His important thing is the legacy, the message of my father's film. He was not message oriented as a filmmaker, and the younger generation must wake up to it. That's what I would say. And the initiative to raise some funds through the auction is to save my father's films, make them technically modern, like digitize them, restore them, because see, they were shot on cinema, on celluloid. So now today we need them on a different format, and that is a hugely expensive affair. So I thought I'll pitch in If others come forward, they help. It's wonderful.
Rinkiji, what is your idea of women empowerment, as you have been a strong part of the women movement way back? Also, please share about Char Diwali, your documentary film.
So you wanted to know, we don't use words like women empowerment anymore.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it's basically about, equality of, you know, the gender equality. That's, I would say. That's my concern. It's so horrifying that at every level of life, women are just not treated like human beings. There is so much of insensitivity. So, uh, I jumped onto the screen because nobody knew that there is something called domestic violence which exists in every society. And Chardiwari has been an extremely very valuable experience. It's the only film on domestic violence made in India. I have shown it all over the world at international film festivals. And the people who agreed to sit before the camera are people I know. We work together, like Flavia Agnes and Luku Sanyal, who's a very renowned newsreader, English newsreader, and the daughter of a very big star like Pahari Sanyal, whom you see in Aradhana and films like that. Their stories were so unbelievable. And it's an act of courage for them to sit before the camera and share their stories. So hats off to them. And it remains one of my favorite works. And I followed that with a book called Behind Closed Doors, uh, which has been published. And I continue to work. I mean, I still, continue to talk to people who have these problems, and my doors are always open for them. My home has been a shelter for many, many women who've suffered like this. Just can't throw a woman out because her husband has thrown her out. She doesn't have any status after that. In our society, a woman who's not accepted by her husband or her in-laws has no place in her own parents' home. That's a terrible situation, and I face that myself. So, I don't want to see another woman go through that. Honestly, I feel very strongly about these issues, very, very strongly. So that's it. That's very much a part of my life.
Yeah, that's what makes you a real person, when you speak so much with so much of convention and heart. I think that's wonderful, Rinki ji. Rinki ji, what has been your success mantra? I would say one mantra that you followed since childhood, your young age, and till now. Let's hear that.
I have no success mantra. Everything is by try. I have learned everything hands-on. I never trained as a journalist. I never trained as a writer, and I never trained as a filmmaker. And it's all hands-on. So I would say, I would say a beautiful quote from English writer called George Eliot. She is a woman writer, but she could not write in her own name, who says, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." I would like to share this with everyone, men, women, children. Follow your dreams. You have to follow your dreams. And I love, making homes. I love having people. I love having, sharing my meal. So, I'm not trying to sound like a huge, big heroine, but that's me.
Is there something you still want to achieve? Let me put it like that.
No, I'm quite fulfilled. I'm quite fulfilled because my books are really liked. They're not bestsellers, but they're liked, and they have their place in the category of non-fiction. Which makes me really feel good. That was one of my I would say unintentional dreams. I never knew that I would be a writer. So it just came upon me. I was supposed to write. I keep a diary from my childhood. So that has developed into a very important way to view work, view life. And the other thing which I really strongly want to say is, I believe that one has to love oneself before anybody else. Fantastic poet, the black poet says, love yourself. That's very important particularly for we put ourselves so low in our priority. No? We should be somewhere, where we look after ourselves. And everyone has some talent, something to do. So I'm trying to do a little workshop where women would find their true self in a one-day workshop. Let's see what we achieve. So that's going to be very soon. And that's making me really happy to think of that, being with women writers, future writers. Thank you, Rashi. I'm so happy you got so much out of me.
So there is nothing stronger than a woman who has rebuilt herself, and sharing some great insights and insightful conversations with Rinki Roy. I must say, not a great, but a beautiful woman and a beautiful person. And I would request all our viewers and all our followers to go to the Bimal Roy Memorial Foundation, have a look at it, see where you can fit, help her out with doing some fundraising so that we can get back Bimal Roy's work back to life again. And this is my humble request to everyone, all the writers, all people passionate about music, passionate about movies, passionate about direction. Get in touch with us. We shall put you across to Rinki ji. Do some fundraising for her so that we can save the great artwork, which is nowhere to be seen now. That is for sure. So thank you so much, Rinki ji. आपका बहुत बहुत thank you.
Welcome. I am very happy that you did this. Thank you very much. Thank you.